Call to order the Public Improvement Commission, Thursday, November 5th, 2015. Public hearing item continued number 1 on a petition by the University of Massachusetts Boston campus for the making of specific repairs within Mount Vernon Street, Dorchester, located generally between South Point Drive and its southeasterly terminus, and consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street lights, street trees, landscaping, traffic signal infrastructure, and bicycle infrastructure. New business, September 3rd, 2015. Public hearing, October 8th, 2015. Public hearing continued October 22nd, 2015. As shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, Mount Vernon Street, Boston, 3 sheets, dated October 2nd, 2015. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Commissioner, members of the Commission. My name is David Mullen. I'm the General Counsel for the UMass Building Authority. I know we've been in front of you a few times. I won't belabor our message. I think we've put it forth. I just want to state that at the last meeting, not only the parties have got together, but at the direction of the board, we met on October 27th. I believe we met for an hour and a half, 2 hours to discuss traffic issues. We had our traffic engineer there, as well as Corcoran Jennison and the Harbor Point Community Task Force to discuss issues. I do note that at last night, yesterday afternoon at 4:17, we just received some information regarding the traffic, a traffic report from the abutters. But again, we've put forward information, and I know you may have questions, but what I have here with me today, I have members of VHB, Niche Engineering. Gentleman to my left will be able to talk about any traffic situations that you may have. Also with me are members of the UMass Boston campus. And if there's any questions, we'll be certainly glad to answer them if we can. Thank you.
Just because it's the public hearing continued, Kevin, do you want to get into the specifics of the repairs plan?
Right. Thank you, Commissioners. Kevin Wright from VHB. As you have heard, this is the specific repair plan which we've brought to you. It's various hearings before. No new changes have been made to the plan since our last time before you. All the items here are shown as they've been shown in terms of improvements for the intersection.
I know specifically there were some questions with the traffic signal. Could you speak to the traffic signal? Have an engineer in charge speak to the specifics?
Faisal from Niche Engineering, who is responsible for traffic and signal design, he'll be able to speak to those matters at this time.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chairman and member of the board. My name is Faisal Hussaini. I'm a vice president and principal of Niche Engineering in charge of transportation engineering. And I'd like to give you a little kind of background about my credentials in a brief, and then I will talk about the scope of the project that we have done for UMass on this traffic signal and the steps that we have followed to derive at our conclusions and recommendations at that location. I have a bachelor and a master degree in transportation engineering from Northeastern University, and I'm a professional engineer in Massachusetts. I'm certified as a professional traffic engineer with ITE, and I'm also accredited Lee Degree in Associates. To share my experience and knowledge in traffic engineering, which has been for the past 30 years. I do teach as an adjunct professor at UMass Lowell for the past 10 years, teach traffic engineering, transportation planning, and traffic management and control. Um, we were brought on this project about in 2010, and the scope for niche engineering was to provide traffic engineering and the stormwater management design. And in the traffic engineering side, I was the person in charge of that scope. And like any other project, we always start our project by collecting a lot of data, available data, collect our own data, and the traffic counts typically are kind of subbed out to an independent contractor, and we hired a company named PDI, which is the majority of traffic engineers in the area use them. And so we counted the data, and that was the scope for the entire campus, for all the reconstruction of roadways and utility reconstruction, including the gateways, which one, Mount Vernon and U Drive West is one of them. Throughout the process, when it came down to the signalized intersection, we coordinated our work with PTD. We understand PTD has the requirements for preparation of traffic signal design and functional design report, which we followed that and provided in 2014 the design documents, and we had a follow-up meeting to go over some of the comments later. It was in 2014, later in the year. The volumes were in 2010, and we project them for the future year, projected them to 2023, which is really the base was 2013, and then we project to 10 years instead of typically the 5 years for an intersection. The projection were based on the general practice within the city, and then some guidelines from BRA that if we don't have knowledge of any development going in the area, we always use 0.5% a year. And if we do know all the development, then we quantify that and apply 0.25 and add it to the development in the area. So for this location, we did use 0.5% growth rate a year. The volumes that were collected and summarized and projected for future year were also, we calculated what we call a warrant analysis for the intersection. We look at the intersection, does it really warrant the installation of traffic signal, or doesn't it warrant the installation of traffic signal? And there are 9 warrants part of the guidelines. And one of those warrants that was met is the peak hour volumes, and which is the hour when the volume is the heaviest at that intersection. And so the signal was warranted for that particular hour. And in addition to that, there are always a consideration for safety. And especially when you have a lot of pedestrian activities, and the anticipation that a lot of pedestrian from the neighborhood or from the students coming to the major transportation centers and they can walk to the campus. And that intersection is really the crossing point for everybody to access to the campus. So you'll notice that a lot of pedestrian activities by students, and from that point, our recommendation is to install the traffic signal to address the safety of pedestrians. And that's the primary thing for us. And even though it's warranted for volume, but still, I think the safety is the utmost consideration for us. And the reason being is because the traffic signal we're proposing there, it's going to be a responsive system that is push-button actuated. And when a pedestrian are there, that they can push the button and cross the street. If there is nobody coming off U Drive West, there is no reason for traffic on Mount Vernon Street to have your red light. So we always revert back to having the Mount Vernon to be green in those situations. We installed some sensors in pavement to detect the presence of traffic at that intersection. Because there is an existing driveway to the South Point Drive, and that serves the Harbor Point area, the Harbor Drive, and we included that part of the data collection, included that part of the volumes, and we looked at it from how many people tend to take left from the driveway, and then how many takes right. And then the majority of the people, based on our count, was the higher volume take a right on Mount Vernon. And the total volumes that turn left from the driveway is 23 vehicles. The total number of vehicles that turn left from the driveway in the morning is 23 vehicles an hour. And then in the afternoon is about 13 vehicles an hour. That kind of volume is very low. We did warrant analysis for that intersection, and it does not warrant the installation of traffic signal for that particular driveway. Again, it's very low volume, and then the volume, the capacity analysis for the U Drive West and the Mount Vernon intersection will operate at the level of service C or better, and we do not see any potential queuing. So in traffic engineering, we deal with the law of averages. So we count traffic at a certain time, and then we have certain volume, and then you can count the volume, the traffic the second day, and you can get the different volumes. So it's feasible that you will never get the same number again. So that's why we deal with the law of averages. So we average everything, and based on the averages, we do our projection and capacity analyses. And also, we look, it's all mathematical relationships that you do the calculation for. It's not, it's exact science. And we use standard software that everybody uses. There's a program called Synchro. And Synchro, what it does, it calculates for you what the capacity of the intersection, how it's going to operate. It gives you the queuing during every cycle, how much traffic is going to queue at that intersection. And we have a portion of it which does simulate the traffic for you. So it shows you really in motion how the vehicle is going to access the intersection and how they queue up. And if there is a blockage, you will visually see that. And for that reason, and we did it for this driveway to see if it's really going to be blocked at any time. And then I did print out a couple static images of the simulation for that particular intersection. And the first one, as you can see, is that this is the South Point Drive. This is Mount Vernon Street. It goes in the east-west direction. And then the University Drive West comes in the northbound direction. And you can see the vehicles, and those are not really drawn graphically. Those are the output of the simulation program that we have. And then you can see that there is no blockage or no queuing, extensive queuing at that intersection. At any cycle, when the cycle is red, you're going to see some backup of traffic at that cycle. However, that traffic, that queuing is going to dissipate right after the green comes up. And the reason being is the volume of traffic is not really significantly very high. And any vehicle coming out of the South Point Drive can turn left because they will have ample time in terms of what we call a headway in time between two vehicles. So the vehicle has some time to turn left. And then, again, it becomes on a driver behavior sometime. So like we can't guarantee that somebody just fly through the intersection and it would be an unsafe movement. However, it's not really accounted for part of the analysis. What we account for is people abiding by the rule of traffic and then making their moves. And then, drivers tend to coordinate the movement and help each other in a way to go into the mainstream of traffic. So the other thing is there was some indication that another count was done, and then the turning movements coming out of South Point Drive kind of doubled. So for that, we did double the volume that we counted and turning left from South Point Drive. And we did the analysis and simulation again. And as you can see, similarly, that the volumes really, you don't see any queuing, huge queuing or gridlock at that intersection that will prevent people from turning from that driveway. We do feel very comfortable with our recommendation that a traffic signal at that driveway is not warranted and a traffic signal at that driveway is not necessary. In traffic engineering, we have a say is that sometimes traffic signal is not the solution of all ills. Sometimes it causes them. And then that's why we don't want to just throw traffic signal everywhere, because it can complicate the operation of traffic. And make it simple in here, maintain the objective of the installation of our signal at Mount Vernon and U Drive West. And I think the operation, based on what the number we have, is going to function at level of service C or better. Thank you.
Okay, before I open it to comments or observations or questions for the board, does any members of the audience have any comments with respect to Mr. Feisel's testimony about?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Again, my name is Orlando Perella. I'm the chairman for the Harbor Point Task Force. I want to reiterate that we had a very good meeting with UMass, very informative, especially for me, and as I pass along to the members of the board, the Residents' Council. And as we focus particularly in this intersection and what we are seeing right now with the traffic that is taking place, and again, I'm explaining these things to you, from the point of view of somebody that is not really schooled in this type of engineering, traffic studies. But the task force did hire a consultant to really explain what really takes place, with this and what are the solutions that we can address at this point. And for us, we believe that based on what we see right now in traffic and what, is coming in the future, where we have a bike lane, and that bike lane is used as traffic for vehicles because of the traffic jam that are being caused right now. So we can see in the future that it is extremely important that this traffic light be considered, within the one South Point or the South Point exit. And upon the approval of this, that this traffic light be part of that. So I would like to introduce to you our consultant, who is also an expert, in traffic studies, and he can explain to you better, what is important for us that be considered. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board.
Thank you. Guy Busa with Howard Stein Hudson.
Morning.
The concern here is the proximity of South Point Drive, the Harbor Point residents. It's one of their primary driveways. It's 3,500 residents and 1,285 units. And the concern is the proximity there and the inability to turn left safely when the signal phases allow us to get out there. For example, if when the left turns are coming out of University Drive West, we feel we won't be able to get out of the driveway. And when Mount Vernon Street eastbound is moving, they won't be able to get out of the driveway. The driveway is about a little less than 100 feet from University Drive West. So turning left out would have to happen when a pedestrian phase was on, and we don't feel the queuing is adequate at that point. We just feel it'd be a safer intersection if South Point Drive was included as one of the approaches to the signalized intersection, and we'd like to have an audience with BTD to go over that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments?
Faisal. Excuse me, Faisal. Have you seen the reports that was generated by Howard Stein Hudson,
Yes, I do have a copy of it.
inclusive of that information? Do you still stand by your position and recommendation?
If I can just comment on the memo, it's really not a report, it's a one-page memo. And with all the due respect, it's very general in terms of the recommendation. And like, for example, I can say that we do have concern about traffic not being able to exit the South Point Drive. And as an engineer, I always like to really support that with the detailed and usually analysis is why we don't think it's, it's safe, for example, or why it's not going to function at the level of service that we are saying it's going to function. So it's a memo that's based on personal, I guess, feeling about how the intersection is going to operate. And definitely, I think from where I stand right now, I would recommend nothing else than having the traffic light because of the amount of activity of pedestrian crossing that intersection.
And again, in your testimony, you indicated that you ran a warrant analysis for the inclusion of that driveway, and it did not meet the warrant, correct?
I did. Thank you.
Okay, with that, are there any other comments or observations from the specific repairs that have been laid out by UMass Boston that anyone would like to speak about?
Guy Booth again, yes. That particular memo is purposefully general so that we could discuss this in more detail with the Boston Transportation Department.
Mr. Musa, did you
yes.
generate that memo?
I assisted in writing that memo, yes. So we do, I mean, it's a safety concern and an operational concern for the South Point Drive exiting traffic. We can agree with the consultant that the intersection would need a traffic signal by warrants. However, we feel that this approach should also be included in that signal design. We don't feel that the PIC plans in front of you would need to be changed or altered. We just want to have that signal included in the design for the traffic signal piece of that.
And you understand that you just put testimony that
Yeah.
inclusion did not meet warrants, and by definition, we couldn't do that from the federal mandates? What information do you have that supports that actually makes?
Solely the proximity of the South Harbor Drive intersection, South Point Drive, excuse me, to the intersection itself. That current intersection is moving towards South Point Drive, and it's being signalized. Those are two changes that are important. As close as it is to South Point Drive, we feel South Point Drive should be included as an approach to that signalized intersection.
Thank you, Mr. Busa.
Thank you.
I'm going to entertain a motion at this time.
I make a motion to approve the petition by the University of Massachusetts Boston campus for the making of specific repairs within Mount Vernon Street, Dorchester, located generally between South Point Drive and its southeasterly terminus, and consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street lights, street trees, landscaping, traffic signal infrastructure, and bicycle infrastructure. All is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, Mount Vernon Street, Boston, 3 sheets dated October 2nd, 2015.
All in
Second.
favor? So moved. Thank you. Public hearing item number 1 on a petition by Teleport Communications America LLC for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install telecommunication conduit within the following public ways in Boston proper. New business, October 22nd, 2015, Fairfield Street, between Newbury Street and Public Alley 433. Public Alley 433, generally east of Fairfield Street, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Proposed Conduit Placement, Fairfield Street, City of Boston, 4 sheets dated October 26, 2015. Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Oh, sorry. I'm David Edgar with Sienna Engineering Group. Here with me is Richard Solitro of Teleport Communications America, a wholly owned subsidiary of AT&T. I'd like to speak to agenda items 1 and 2 at the same time if I could, since they are directly related. Teleport has petitioned the city as lead company for the placement of conduit along Fairfield Street. There are no participants for this project. Teleport is requesting to lease a portion of the city shadow duct that exists between the level 3 manhole at the intersection of Boylston and Fairfield to a point at the RCN manhole where that conduit is capped. It's actually capped at both ends, so excavation will be required at the level 3 manhole to connect it. From the capped duct at the RCN manhole, we're proposing to extend the 4-inch conduit and a quad duct to the Comcast manhole at the intersection of Fairfield and Public Alley 433. Our original plan was to install conduit from the RCN manhole, place a manhole, and then continue to install conduit down Public Alley 433 to the back of the building. Since being introduced as new business, Teleport has received approval from Comcast to utilize an existing duct to the building. This will essentially cut the original build in half, and we won't need to excavate in the alley and cause a disturbance to the residents there. And we plan to return at a later date to get the amended grant of location for the use of the Comcast ducts. The 4-inch duct, the city shadow, will be continuous from the level 3 manhole to the Comcast manhole, will then be populated with 3-inch and a quarter inner ducts for cable placement.
So what you're saying is that the public hearing this wording would be amended to eliminate Public Alley 433?
Correct.
So it would just be Fairfield Street. And what would the on the dig portion?
107 feet.
And that would be so it would still be between Newbury Street and
You would still be from where the duct is capped north of Newbury Street at the RCN manhole, and then we'll extend it to the Comcast manhole.
okay. So it's a much smaller dig.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Amy seems that unless it is consistent with PIC advertising.
Any members of the audience have any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition by Teleport Communications America LLC for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install telecommunication conduit on Fairfield Street, generally between Newbury Street and Public Alley 433. As shown on the set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, grant of location plan, proposed conduit placement for Fairfield Street. The sheets are dated October 26, 2015, and will be amended to represent the actual location of the dig.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Public hearing item number 2 on a petition by Teleport Communications America LLC for the rental of city shadow to install new telecommunication fiber and existing conduit within Fairfield Street, Boston proper, between Boylston Street and Newbury Street. New business, October 22nd, 2015, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Proposed City Shadow Rental, Fairfield Street and Boylston Street, City of Boston, 1 sheet dated October 19th, 2015. Morning, Dave.
Morning. I don't have any further statement. If you have any questions, I addressed the city shadow duct in my opening statements for the conduit placement, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Just if you can make a general statement as brief as possible, since this is still the public hearing for this item.
Certainly. Teleport is proposing to utilize an existing city shadow duct between the level 3 manhole at Boylston and Fairfield to a point where it's capped at the RCN manhole, at which time that duct will be populated with 3 1.25 inch inner ducts to facilitate cable placement. Welcome.
Again, any members of the audience have any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition of Teleport Communications America LLC for the rental of city shadow and install new telecommunication fiber and existing conduit in Fairfield Street, Boston proper, all shown on plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department and in Engineering Division, grant location plan, proposed city shadow rental, Fairfield Street and Boylston Street, one sheet dated October 19, 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. David, Richard, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Public hearing item number 3 on a petition by Crown Castle NG East LLC for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install telecommunication conduit within the following public ways in Boston proper. New business, October 22nd, 2015. Commonwealth Avenue, east of St. Mary's Street, west of Silver Way, east of University Road, east of Granby Street, west of Granby Street, west of Beacon Street / Brookline Avenue. Beacon Street at Commonwealth Avenue / Brookline Avenue, southwest of Commonwealth Avenue. Granby Street, north of Commonwealth Avenue, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Crown Castle, Commonwealth Avenue Network Expansion, Boston, 9 sheets dated November 2015. Morning.
Good morning. It's Bob Albee from VHB representing Crown Castle. It's a pleasure to be here again. And with me is Costa Jovanovic and Richard Shepard from Crown Castle. And this petition seeks for 8 locations for DAS antennas, distributed antenna systems, similar to the ones that have been installed, approximately 400 in the city of Boston over the past 7 years by both Crown Castle and formerly by NextG Networks. Most of these, all of these are in the Kenmore Square area, Roxbury section of Boston, basically in Commonwealth Avenue and the streets that you have just read off. We had a couple of issues that came over from the previous hearing, the new business. We were asked the questions about handholds and whether they're weldable. These are cast iron, standard city H20 or H50, H20 loading handholds that the city, H20, that the city uses. So I think that answers that question. On the pavement restoration issue, Para, that you had brought up regarding your fairly new pavement out there. Costa, if you want to take that one.
Good morning. We went out and did an analysis of the existing pavement conditions with the thoughts that we would work with Department of Public Works to mitigate the inconvenience and the disruption of the pavement. I had a meeting with Michael Kinson over at Public Works, and we went through the project location by location. And he didn't recommend that there would be anything unusual that needed to be done in the trenching detail, and that his final restoration plans would be sufficient to bring the area back to an acceptable level of pavement condition. So reviewing it with him, we felt that the City of Boston standard practice would be the best way to approach this rather than any specialized design.
The area Commonwealth Avenue that you work in, is that from, I guess, what we would call Phase 1?
Yes, Phase 1 between Kenmore Square and the I-90 bridge.
And the bridge, so
yeah.
none of this is on Phase 2?
None of it's on Phase 2.
Thanks.
Unfortunately, we advertise this as 9 sheets, but we've got 13 sheets in front of us. So what is the change? Is there?
The PIC staff advised us of that. What we did was when we printed the sheets, we included the traffic management plan sheets, which normally don't go on to the final set. So when we do the Mylars will be recorrected for the right number of sheets.
You have extra sheets there because of the TMP that's in there.
This is a public hearing. I'm in an awkward spot. I absolutely have to respect the opinions given by my fellow team members, Michael Kinson. But that being said, I hope you understand what is trying to be conveyed here. This area is between Kenmore Square and Bayou Bridge, yes? Yes. And it doesn't take much imagination to understand visually the condition of that roadway. Okay? It doesn't also take much imagination to understand how the scar is going to look after you have cut it, irrespective of how well you may patch it. The issue is not about the structural integrity of the roadway in itself may be satisfactory, but the state and the city didn't spend close to $20 million rebuilding that roadway just for it to get scarred. Okay? So that is the point which I am trying to appeal to you. I don't want us to be, as much as we need to be mindful about rules and regulations, we need to understand the spirit through which those rules and regulations were put forth. So put yourself in our shoes as the caretaker of that real estate in front of a school that has invested millions to create that look. And since we haven't had a conversation with BU, not that I know of, where if the BU, Boston University, yes, BU is aware that this car is going to approach in front of their main door, I don't want to think on their behalf as to what their response might be. So independent of what what action this board may take, I need you to be sensitive to that aspect of it, because the Boston Universities participated significantly with their resources to make that investment. It was just not the city. Okay?
I think I failed to introduce myself. Richard Shepard, project manager, Crown Castle. So one of the issues that it does mitigate the visual appeal is that this trenching will occur in the gutter area of the road, and in those areas, it is either a bike lane, which has a defined line, as well as or parking areas. So it is anticipated that when final repaving is accomplished, that the vertical or the straight line visual appeal will be maintained by following the individual markings on the pavement.
Yep.
So that's the goal. There are two that are perpendicular, and in that particular case, it will need to be a standard 10 by 10 patch. But the ones that run linearly, we will work with our contractor to make sure that the lines are cut straight and that the restoration is done with an aesthetic, visual consideration. Boston University is aware of this project, and we are actually working with them on a variety of different locations that are another phase of this project, so they are aware of what's going on.
And we appreciate your sensitivity to looking at this thing not just from a street restoration, but it's the urban design appeal of your front door that's going to get cut. And I promise you, okay, that may be too amplifying the thought pattern, but it is fair for me to say that it might be at least 10 years before the city is going to pave that roadway. Okay? Because structurally the pavement is good, so for that scar or that line is going to remain for about 10 years.
And we will continue to work with Mike and Mark.
See, it's not, Gary, because guaranteed state we have one size fits all, everything is 5 years. Okay? So it's been 5 years since we've spent close to about $20 million rebuilding from bottom up that roadway. That roadway is going to last another 30 years.
So it's over 5 years.
It's over 5 years, so it doesn't fall into that very clear pattern.
10 plus.
Yeah. Okay, but that level of investment was made not to last 5 years.
Understood.
And we had one last issue that cropped up since then. On the utility mailings, the only mailing we got back with any kind of a concern on it was from National Grid Gas Company. I received it on Tuesday of this week. Not their fault, in all fairness. They mailed it the week before, but I was off for a few days on personal business, and it came snail mail. Didn't get to my desk till Tuesday. Their concern is that they have a 24-inch gas line running down that street, and we are generally outbound of the pipe and need to cross over the pipe to get to the streetlight bases at these nodes. They objected to the fact that we weren't maintaining 18 inches of clearance above it, which we could not do. So I drafted a letter back to them on Tuesday saying that we're going to work with them to straighten that out. We will be able to turn the conduit so we're requiring less depth, but I was very clear to say there's no way we can get 18 inches and not be above the pavement with the conduits that are servicing the street light. I offered in that letter to advise them of when we're going out to do the exploratory work at those crossings. They can have their inspection there. We can work together and see what we can work out with it. I emailed that back so we'd have it instantaneously on Tuesday, and I dropped the signed version of it Tuesday night in the mail. They probably have not gotten the signed version back yet.
Paul, if I can summarize what you're saying, there's a private conversation between one private entity and another private entity as to the vertical profile of the location.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll try not to get into that equation. But should that conversation expand to your asset moving on a horizontal plane, you will come back to us. Okay, because as much as we are trying to minimize the visual appeal of this little run, it is going to take a little dog leg to the left, right, and left again to avoid the gas lines. That's going to re-engage this conversation.
And as a point of precedence, we've actually dealt with this concern from NSTAR Gas in the past, and so we do have a precedent for how we solve it, and it doesn't involve redirecting the location of the pipe.
We will need some sort of resolution of the National Grid issue before you can pull a permit.
For our files.
Understood.
I'm looking at the drawings now. I'm not seeing that this line is kept tight to the curb at all. How are we gonna make sure that we have a trench that's tight to the curb?
The construction drawings, the permit drawings, I guess we could revise the drawings if you'd like. The intent is to maintain the line, and I have personally done an inspection of those runs, and there's typically a bike lane or parking spots that we will be under. The attempt is to keep it, they have to resurface 8 inches on each side of the trench, and it's a 12-inch wide trench. So the trench is going to end up being approximately 18 inches from the curb line. And I think that's the way these drawings are proposed.
I don't think that's how it is being drawn, but I don't want to labor the point.
Okay.
So hopefully your testimony matches the drawings, and if the drawings needs to be amended, since this is a public hearing, Amy, ensure that it gets properly structured, including a vertical profile of the utilities.
So we're going to move the lines, and I think this is going to then change what the conversation with National Grid is. If this is,
Suspicious of it.
do we want to give this 2 weeks?
Also, have you included a vertical profile of the subsurface utilities that are within the corridor which you are running?
Where they are available, but clearly from the National Grid perspective, including in their letter, they indicated we're between 3 and 3.5 feet down. The plans that they provided us did not have any vertical information on it. So it's, the 3 to 3.5 is where they'd like to be. Whether they really are, I don't know, as we know for all utilities.
I'm not very comfortable with the drawings not being representative of what we're talking about in the National Grid letter, which unfairly you received late because it was snail mail. And I'd ask that we postpone this 2 weeks till we can clarify both the drawings and maybe come up with a resolution with National Grid as to how we proceed in these 6 or 7 intersections that are involved.
Plus a more accurate understanding as to the parking conditions, travel lane conditions. the assumptions we are making that your line is exactly 18 inches off the curb. So please verify all of that. Have the revised plans dated with the product version number, so we recognize that it has been changed.
Okay.
So that we won't mess up our own paper trail on our end.
Would the inclusion of pavement markings on the plans?
So this way we will know, hey, here's the bike lane, and
Sure.
whether you are underneath the bike lane, a park lane, or a travel lane.
Very good.
So let me back up. Is 2 weeks enough time?
Yeah.
Okay.
If we can do that in 2 weeks.
So I'll entertain a motion to continue.
I'll make a motion to continue today's petition by Crown Castle NG East LLC for a grant of locations on Comm Ave, Beacon Street, and Granby Street, item number 3 on today's agenda, for 2 weeks till
November 19th.
November 19th, 2015. Second.
All in favor? Aye. So moved. Public hearing item number 4 on a petition by Crown Castle NG East LLC for a grant of location to install telecommunication infrastructure on replacement streetlight poles within the following public ways in Boston. New business, October 22nd, 2015. Commonwealth Avenue, east of St. Mary's Street, west of Silverway, east of University Road, east of Granby Street, west of Granby Street, west of Beacon Street / Brookline Avenue. Beacon Street at Commonwealth Avenue / Brookline Avenue, southwest of Commonwealth Avenue, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Crown Castle, Network Expansion, Boston, 2 sheets dated October 2015. Morning again.
Good morning again. Again, it's Bob Albee with Richard Shepard and Costa Jovanovic from Crown Castle. This particular petition is the second phase, so to speak, of the construction of that first petition. This is where we swap the poles out and put the poles up at those locations that we just defined in the previous item.
But how is the maintenance agreement structured where if in the future the city needs one of those poles to be removed, what is the protocol? We ask you, you move it at your expense within the time frame which we need. John, is that how it is structured?
Yeah, I'm still finalizing the agreement, and we can incorporate whatever you're.
It should be standard because this is not the first time, Chong, we are having poles, city-owned streetlight poles being switched. I'm going to assume that the structure of those agreements are such that the petitioner will move those poles at the petitioner's expense to a time frame that meets our needs.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Please make sure that standard language is included in all of the.
Yes, yes, okay.
I think it would be prudent if we had these agreements executed prior to the hearings from now on. Because otherwise, we can never be quite sure that they were executed correctly.
Yes.
And we've already voted on it, so we have no other way to revisit it.
The maintenance of the poles is in the master agreement that was signed back in quite a while back. So we've been operating under that agreement, and we do replace the poles on demand. It's happened a number of times.
Yes.
When intersections have been realigned, we've been out there, we've been before this commission to get new grants of location. And when there's knockdowns or anything, we generally know it first because our knock
Customers call you.
picks it right up, and we need to get that back online quick, so we're out there to do it.
Thank you so much.
I have one comment, just that the access points, the hand hose into the street lights. At one point, we were trying to get them up high because we had so much vandalism with those plates. Has that changed? Do we know, Amy?
I don't know. Any members of the audience have any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition by Crown Castle NG East LLC for grants of location to install telecommunication infrastructure on replacement streetlight poles on Commonwealth Avenue and Beacon Street. It's described and read into the record by the chair, shown in a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, grant of location plans by Crown Castle Network Expansion in Boston. The 2 sheets are dated October 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Public hearing item number 5, on a petition by Crown Castle NG East LLC for a granted location with lead company status and no participants to install telecommunication conduit within the following public ways in South Boston. New business, October 22nd, 2015. O Street between East Broadway and East 4th. Congress Street, generally at A Street, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Crown Castle, South Boston, Network Expansion, Boston, 3 sheets dated November 2015. One.
As part of our original submission package for the Kenmore Square Roxbury ones, we were asked if we could advance 2 in South Boston asked by Mark Cottarelli, Public Works Department, advance 2 in South Boston that were in some kind of conflict with his program. So we added these 2 to it. One of the 2 will have, a pole erected soon. The other one is awaiting the Historic Commission's final review on it. But the two portions of underground work stated in this petition is to get that done so the Mark can get in and do the work.
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate that. Okay.
Once again, the advertisement that went out has done 3 sheets. This is 6 sheets.
It's the same information. The Mylar will be back to their appropriate number of sheets.
All right, and then on the first sheet, we have proposed 3-inch PVC, and on the details, we're looking at 4-inch Schedule 40 PVC. What are we using?
The connection from the handhold to the light base is a 3-inch connection. And then the linear runs from the other connection points, which in this case is a Verizon manhole, is 4-inch with 4-inch shadow.
So the conduit that's being installed in the trench is 4-inch?
Correct. Yeah, and it's just the lateral piece from the handhold that's right in front of the light base up into the light is a 3-inch.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any members of the audience have any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the petition by Crown Castle NG East LLC for the grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install telecommunications conduit within the following public ways is read into the record by the chair. Now, all shown on the plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Crown Castle, South Boston Network Expansion, Boston, 3 sheets dated November 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Public hearing item number 6, on a petition by Crown Castle NG East LLC for a granted location to install telecommunication infrastructure on a replacement streetlight pole within O Street, South Boston, located on its easterly side, generally between East Broadway and East 4th Street. New business, October 22nd, 2015, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Crown Castle, O Street, Boston, 1 sheet dated October 2015.
This is the erection of the pole, the swap-out pole on the O Street of the 2, the Congress Street one being held up because of considerations by the landmarks or historic people.
Gary, do you have a thought regarding the proximity of the antenna towards the second floor bay window that is cutting out?
No, it's really just an extension of the pole, so, yeah.
Okay, so it's all
Yeah,
consistent.
It looks like that.
It's above the roof line.
Above the roof line?
It's always the best design.
Any questions or comments from the audience? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition of Crown Castle NG East LLC for the granted location to install telecommunication infrastructure and replacement street light pole within O Street, South Boston, located generally between East Broadway and East 4th Street, all shown on the plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, granted location plan, Crown Castle, O Street, Boston, 1 sheet dated October 2015.
Second.
All in favor? So moved. First item of new business, Brookline Avenue, Lansdowne Street, Longwood Avenue, Boston proper, Roxbury, grant of location, amended grant of location on a set of petitions by Crown Castle NG East LLC and Verizon New England Incorporated.
Turn this over to Costa. No, to Richard. Costa is here twice.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Richard Shepard. I'm Project Manager for Crown Castle. Here to describe the proposed grant of location and amended grant of location for conduits beginning at Lansdowne Street and up through Brookline Ave up into the city of Brookline. Crown Castle continues to expand its network within the city of Boston as well as outlying other locations. Currently, there are 60 nodes that are planned to be upgraded. With that requires the additional addition of fiber that is going to be tied to a hub that currently exists on Lansdowne Street. That requires the placement of a large cable up Brookline, well, up Lansdowne Street to Brookline Ave, up into the Brookline area. Fortunately, we were able to obtain a significant amount of existing Verizon duct to minimize the amount of digging. So as you can see on this display, this blue line is leased Verizon duct.
Actually, can you do the opposite?
Sure.
And which are the areas that are going to be cut?
Okay.
Because we are extremely happy when you lease things.
I always try to lead with the good news.
So on that master map,
Yes.
what are the areas that are being cut?
There are 2 locations that require cuts.
Okay.
The tie-in from this manhole to the hub, right here.
Okay.
And then there was one section of Verizon formation that did not have capacity for us to lease, so we have to connect, on Brookline Ave, we have to connect these 2 Verizon manholes to get past that blockage. Other than that, the entire route is able to be provided by Verizon, leasing Verizon duct. As an explanation up here, which I've answered the question a few times, so I might as well get ahead of it. There are 2 manholes that potentially could serve that location, which is 9 Lansdowne Street. As luck would have it, it's exactly halfway in between those 2 manholes. So the amount of digging, whether it be from manhole 913B or manhole 1092, is the same. So we elected to go to manhole 1092 to avoid as much digging on it's just a bigger amount of digging on Lansdowne Street. This has Ipswich involved. It also maximizes our use of Verizon duct. Any questions?
Just for my edification, I see a piece of Brookline Avenue from manhole 1074. Park Drive? Yeah, 2 Park Drive. I don't believe that's under the city's jurisdiction. I believe the jurisdictional line is somewhere, I would say, west of, similar to Boylston Street. There's a piece of those intersections that City of Boston doesn't own. DCR owns them, where the old Sears building used to be.
We'll make sure the plans in the agreement reflect the limits of
The limits.
our.
Yep.
Even though they're still renting the space, Amy,
Yep.
right?
Right, so their agreement with Verizon will remain unchanged, but our, our amended grants will only show city limits.
The Verizon ducts, did they have to be relocated due to the Army Corps of Engineers project on the bridge? Because I know that in order to rebuild that bridge and get the new open channel under there, that all of the utilities had to be relocated to the other side of the bridge and rebuilt. I don't know what kind of, if that was brought to your attention, that those duct banks may be reconfigured, larger, smaller, I don't know.
Yeah, this information is based on physical field survey. It's not a paper search. It was originally a paper search, and then they actually field surveyed it. Are you talking about bridge down over the river, or are you talking about the...
Exactly where Mr. Dennehy was talking
the
about.
Landmark Center area?
Yeah, because that is DCR roadway, and that bridge is owned by them. And in order for them to to rebuild, there were a lot of utilities on that bridge.
Sure.
And in order for them to rebuild the bridge and get the new open channel underneath, the utilities had to be moved.
Right.
And whether that's been done or not, I don't think it has been, but the Verizon ducts are going to be relocated in there, so you should speak with Verizon about exactly what those ducts are, how they're going to be reconfigured and what they're going to look like. Because in order for you to get you might get blocked out of that, or you may end up finding that that pipe is bending now where you can't get it in. But it also may be an opportunity for you to work within the project to get a piece of your conduit included there now before all that construction's going on. So you'd have to meet with the Army Corps of Engineers out there. They have field offices out there. It's probably worth taking a look.
Absolutely.
What's that?
Yeah, they didn't, Verizon didn't bring that up.
They might have been talking to someone in Woburn. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, we'll definitely investigate that. That's actually to our advantage to leverage that and look into that ahead of time. Thank you.
Will 2 weeks be enough time?
Yes.
Okay, we'll see you on November 19th for a public hearing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vasta. Thank you, Bob. Thanks, Richard. Second item of new business, 1971-1977 Dorchester Avenue, Fuller Street, Mercier Avenue, Dorchester, pedestrian easement, specific repairs, earth retention license on a set of petitions by Trinity Ashmont II Limited Partnership.
Okay, here we go. All right. Ambrose, why don't you, next to Chris.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name's Kathy Bachman. I'm a lawyer with offices at 60 State Street, and I'm delighted to be here with our Trinity team to bring before you the Ashmont Transit-Oriented Development Project Number 2. Located on Dorchester Avenue, just south of and across from the Ashmont T-Stop. Trinity, as many of you know, has been hard at work for now almost 3 decades in urban revitalization projects. One of them notable here is right across the street, the Caruth project, right at the end of the Red Line, with thanks from your predecessors in the board of years ago. So before you today is a project that is ready to go, but for your kind permission to proceed with what we have before you. This is an 83-unit housing development, of which 51 units, or 66%, are affordable. It is first floor neighborhood retail. We have rental housing on 3 floors, and then the top 2 floors will be home ownership. We have been through almost a 2-year process and have substantial neighborhood support as well as city and state. We have been through Article 80. We have been here to the Board of Appeals. And we are in the process of climbing that mountain of paper to close financing, which is scheduled for December, so long as we can satisfy your requirements. We have 3 petitions before you. The first is the petition for a variety of specific repairs to bring the surrounding streets and sidewalks both up to speed in terms of modern time and integrate them with the project. We have the petition before you for the temporary earth retention system, and we have before you a petition for your receipt of a very slender sidewalk easement along Fuller Street. Let me just show you a few quick pictures. We have with me Chris Stanley from Trinity Financial, Ambrose Donovan from McPhail Associates, who's the below grade guy, and Garrett Horsfall from Kelly Engineering, who's Mr. Surface. So just a quick picture. This is the project, as you see looking down Dorchester Avenue. This is a bird's eye view, Dorchester Avenue. First floor with the retail spaces. There is a low-grade garage will service the property as well as several on-site spaces with substantial landscaping open it for questions.
I took a look at the supported excavation. Everything looks pretty standard. The depth of the excavation is less than 20 feet. The one big thing is the water. I mean, a lot of people, you'll be pumping water at the site. So just make sure you get your permits.
Right. We will be getting a discharge permit for construction dewatering. Yes.
And you'll have, is it over an acre or under an acre?
Pardon?
Over an acre?
Just under an acre.
Just under an acre, okay.
I had asked for a couple of changes in the plans which were completed, I believe. I know I got them back for some TV work for a drain on Fuller Street.
Yes, we incorporated both of your changes for the catch basin changes as well, as a note has been added to the SOE plan to call for the videotaping before and after the start of work.
That's fine. You are responsible for the civil plans, right?
I'm Garrett Horsfall.
Oh, my apologies.
Sorry. David Kelly, who was at the plan, had a conflict today, is unable to be here.
My mistake, my bad. But that being the case, I'm sorry, who am I speaking with?
Garrett Horsfall.
Garrett. The parking conditions, the parking regulations, today's parking regulations on the side of your building, do you know what they might be?
The side of the building, those two.
Can you please? So on Dorchester Ave, we are not, yes, on Dorchester Ave, today's, what are the parking regulations? Do I get to park over there today?
Right now, there's a bunch of curb cuts, so there's no publicly accessible spaces there today.
I'm sorry?
Go to the,
Para, let me respond to that. Currently, the Ashmont Tire building has, I think, 3 curb cuts on Dorchester Avenue for their drive bays. As a tire repair place, they have a lot of curb cuts. So we're going to remove those curb cuts. We're replacing those curb cuts with on-street parking. Currently, there's no parking allowed in front of the building.
Here's where I'm trying to lead with. Today, there's no parking allowed. So during a snow emergency, and I promise you this is a snow arterial, meaning there are no cars supposed to be parked there. So today, no cars parking. Yet you are creating a neck-down situation that will, what? Allow parking there continuously, which is going to make it extremely challenging for us to A, clear snow, and B, provide an easy access, corridor. And there are, more than a couple of cars that go up and down this street. So I have some concerns about the neck downs which you are proposing at the 2 ends that is going to give a permanent parking stall over there. I don't know whether you have had a chance to discuss this matter with the engineering team of the transportation department. You may have gone through the city's TAPA process or the Article 80 process, and all of this stuff may have been approved. But I like to know who was the engineer on record who did not give some consideration to the fact that today it's a snow arterial and cars are supposed to move freely, and how you are introducing 2 neck downs, which is not going to allow us to manage snow operations. So you're David Kelly, or you want to respond to that?
I will add that Niche Engineering has done a TAPA plan. It does include parking signs for no parking during snow emergencies and the like.
But it's a trapped location.
At the bump outs you're referring to?
The area that is under parking, you are trapped because you are within a neck down area.
At the bump outs?
It's not at the bump outs, it is after the bump outs where you are proposing the managed parking. What's the point in having those no parking, because a snow plow is not going to be able to get there because of your neck downs?
I know this isn't this isn't necessarily directly answering your question, but in terms of the 2-year process we went through with the community, they were very clear that they wanted a better way to cross Dorchester Avenue. We agreed with them that we would provide these bump outs basically as a way for pedestrians to cross the road. I hear what you're saying about the snow, but
Before that, you should be at the Transportation Engineering Division discussing those, before we go to the public on what the best alternative is from a traffic engineering perspective. Did you talk to anybody in BTD Engineering?
yes.
Who?
Pat Hoey.
He's not with engineering, he's one of the planners. We review the site plans and the geometrics.
we were
You
direct.
need to get in and discuss this with the engineering folks.
Perhaps for the purpose of this hearing, we should say that we hear your concerns, and between now and the next meeting, we can have further conversations.
I think that would be very much appreciated. Do recognize the fact that the efficient movement of traffic during snow situations is a paramount concern to the city, and we want to do it in a methodical, respectful, and structured process. These neck downs that are being proposed on major arterials defeat the purpose of that whole stretch where you have managed parking because the snow plow can't get there.
It's a balancing act between getting pedestrians across. That's a very dangerous intersection at Mercier. A lot of students now go up to the Henderson School, which is a 6 through 12 now, on foot. Having said that, there are some neck downs on Dorchester Ave that as a Public Works Commissioner, give me heartache more times of the year than just snow plowing. Most of the neck downs on Dorchester Ave, I can't get to it. My street sweepers as well, so it's another step in the process. I understand the balancing act that you need to do, but I think if we can revisit this with the BT engineering group on the next 2 weeks, we should come to a...
We will do so.
Yeah.
Relative to the earth retention system, I haven't seen a construction management plan submitted so that I can evaluate what the CMP is in relation to your design of your earth retention system. Where is that?
We have a draft, and we're reviewing it right now. We can submit it in the next 2 days.
Okay. And who's put that document?
Lee Kennedy is our selected GC for this job.
Okay, he needs to get that in very quickly.
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. Do you think 2 weeks will be enough time?
Yes,
All right. Thank you, Kathy. We'll see you
Thank you very much.
November 19th for a public hearing.
we'll be there.
Thank
Thank you so much.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.